There are 5 different areas to nutrition that make up a good diet. 5 areas are calorie balance, macros, meal timing, sources of the food, supplements and hydration. In this video we'll be going over each of the 5, explaining what they are and how do you optimize it for performance in the gym or whatever your sport is. The first area and the most important is your calorie balance. This will make up around 50% of the relative diet effectiveness. Calorie balance is simply how many calories you eat per day relative to how many you burn. What this means is if you're eating more calories than you burn, you'll put on weight, but if you're burning more calories than you eat, you'll lose weight. This is known as a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus. The first thing we need to address in this area is that all calories are equal. This is because a calorie is just a measurement of how much energy is in a certain type of food. So calories are simply just a measurement of energy the food has. However, the thing that separates different calories is the source that you get the calories from. What this means is how the food affects your overall energy balance, and this will affect whether you're in a calorie deficit or in a calorie surplus. Calories are the biggest factor in our diet and will make the biggest difference in overall body composition and overall performance, and therefore is crucial to get right before you do anything else. The most overall important thing with the diet is you can stick to it and adhere to it, as there's no point doing any of these steps if you can't stick to your diet, as you won't actually see any benefit from it. So you need to be consistent, make a diet that you can stick to for a long period of time. Calories play a major role in performance as the body uses glucose for fuel. So if you're not eating enough food, you won't have as much glucose. So if you're an athlete and you're under eating, your ability to perform at a high level will degrade. The body uses energy from glycogen stores that are built up in the muscles and liver over time as the calories are consumed. As exercise continues, carbs stored as glycogen in your muscles can continue to provide needed fuel. The glycogen in your liver that is stored acts to moderate the blood glucose levels. So if your blood glucose drops, the liver can provide some glucose to get it in the right range and maintain homeostasis. Another thing to mention is your fat stores that you have on your body can provide energy for movement as well, but the rate of energy release is far less efficient and will pretty much cause a drop in performance for everyone. Another reason why calories are a major key in the diet is it plays a big role in recovery from training, as this also requires energy, as your body needs the energy to do the function of recovering. So if you're under eating calories, your body will prioritize more important things than recovery. To know what your calories are, you'll first need to find out what your overall goal is. Are you trying to maintain, cut or bulk? I can't really tell you the exact calories that you're meant to eat per day, as it's very different for everyone, as it varies on a number of things like body size, NEAT. This is just energy burned outside of exercise, like walking and fidgeting. Varies based on how much exercise you're doing, genetic metabolism and many other factors. However, what I can do is give you a rough number and put you in the right ballpark. The first step is to go onto an online calorie calculator and plug in your details. I'll link one in the description. Take the calories that it gives you for whatever you put in, and then for your maintenance you keep that, and then if you want to bulk or cut, you take away or add 200 to 500 calories based on whatever your goal is. Say it gives you 2,500 calories for maintenance, then you decide you want to bulk up. I would recommend eating in the region from 2.7k to 3k every day. To know if this number is right for you, over the next 2 weeks, weigh yourself every morning as soon as you wake up and monitor the overall change over these 2 weeks. You want to be aiming for around 0.5% of your body weight per week if you are trying to bulk up. If you find at the end of the 2 weeks you are in this region of 0.5% of your body weight, then stay where you are for another week, check again, and keep doing this until you either reach your goal or you find that you're not gaining the right amount of weight, and then you increase your calories a little bit more. If you're on the cutting side, then you want to be doing around 2,000 to 2,300 per day, and you want to be losing weight at around 0.5 to 1.5% of your body weight per week. And then the same rule applies if you find yourself deviating outside this range. Add or take away what you need to get back into the range. When you are in a calorie surplus, which is just eating more calories than you burn, fat gain will be inevitable as your body has evolved over time to store any extra energy it has, so it can use it in a time of life or death. Muscle growth rates are much smaller than fat gain rates, as muscle mass is metabolically costly, so it requires more energy to build and maintain than fat mass. So it is a stupid idea for the body to try and maintain more muscle than fat, as it will just cause more energy. It is only when you introduce a form of resistance training to the muscles, which provokes a big enough stimulus for muscle growth to increase, do you see the most amount of muscle gain. It's normally best to separate a cutting and bulking phase, two entirely separate aspects, as they are conflicting in the way they work. By trying to do both at the same time, which is known as body recomposition, you won't see as much progress because you're not focusing on one, either fat loss or muscle gain. However, if you're someone who's recently started training and started dieting properly for the first time, body recomposition is definitely achievable for a few months and then will decrease over time and you'll see less progress. From there, you'd want to separate into a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus for whatever your goal is. The second area of the diet hierarchy is the macronutrients amounts. This will make up about 30% of the diet. What the macronutrients amounts means is how much protein, carbs and fat you eat per day. Protein. This contains 4 calories per gram. The main role protein plays in the diet is it supports replenishment of skeletal muscle as it is broken down to support important bodily functions. This helps keep your muscles from getting smaller over time. Protein is made up from large molecules, which are made up of other smaller molecules that are called amino acids. Protein makes up the majority of the tissues around the human body. Human proteins are made up of 20 amino acids, of which our body can produce 11 of these. The other 9 amino acids must be ingested from food sources. As amino acids are mainly the building blocks of our body, and because 9 of the amino acids are mostly sourced from our diet, protein is the most important macronutrients for body composition and health. As well as this, eating more protein has been shown to enhance satiety more than carbs and fats, which allows you to adhere, which is the most important factor in dieting, and overall allow you to reach your goal easier. So how much protein should you eat? For protein, the golden number is around 1 gram per pound of body weight. To keep everything simple, just math wise, I'd aim for that. A more in-depth look into protein is you can eat anything from around 0.8 grams to 2 grams per pound of body weight. But going above 1 gram per pound of body weight, you won't really see any more benefits. But the downsides is that you'll have less carbs and fat to eat, which means less energy and macronutrients that the carbs and fats provide. For that reason, I'd recommend capping protein off at 1 gram per pound of body weight. Unless you really enjoy eating protein, then fair enough, just go ahead and eat what you want. But if you want the best performance, I wouldn't go too much higher than 1 gram. As if you want to eat more than 1 gram, you'll need to take it off your carbs and fats to allow the calories to do so. This is because you find calories first, and then you find how to split the calories up into the 3 macronutrients. If you're following a calorie deficit, the protein needs may be a bit different. It could be from 1 gram to 1.5 grams. As if you go below 1 gram, it can impact recovery and muscle breakdown risk is higher due to less energy. So the body might need to use muscle mass up. As well as this, you might want a slight increase in protein because it is satiating and will make you feel fuller when you're eating less calories and food. So it can make you adhere better. Going above 1.5 grams per pound of body weight will result in a net downside, as you will need to strip carbs and fats, which you're going to need when you're in a calorie deficit as you have low energy. Here is an example of how to find your protein for a person. I'll do this for every single macronutrients. I'll base this example off of someone who is eating 3,000 calories a day and weighs 200 pounds. The first step in figuring out how to split your 3,000 calories up is finding protein. You want to find protein first, as it is the main macronutrients that plays a role in body composition. So for a person who weighs 200 pounds, it's quite simple. You just want to eat around 200 grams of protein per day. As per gram of protein contains 4 calories, this will mean a total of 800 calories from the 3,000 overall calories this person is consuming will be from protein. This will leave you with 2,200 calories to split up between carbs and fat, which we'll get to later. We'll now go over carbs. Carbohydrates also contain 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates mainly come in the form of sugar and starch. Carbohydrates is referred to as the body's primary fuel source. This is because the body is designed to store carbohydrates in the liver, brain and muscles through glycogen. When we eat, we break down the sugar and starch into glucose, which we can then use for energy to fuel our bodies. There are 3 types of carbohydrate forms. You have monosaccharides, mono meaning one. These are single molecule. These are things like glucose and fructose, and also galactose. The second type of carb is disaccharides, di meaning two. These are 2 molecule combinations of monosaccharides used to form a single large molecule. The 3 main disaccharides are sucrose, a glucose and a fructose bonded, lactose, a glucose and a galactose bonded, and maltose. These are 2 glucose bonded. The third and final carbohydrate form is polysaccharides. These are longer strings of monosaccharides chained together. These include starch. This is a digestible form of many glucoses linked together. Cellulose, which is fiber, which is mostly indigestible by humans and made up of glucose molecules. And glycogen, which is an irregular connection of glucose molecules, which is the most common form of carbohydrates stored in muscle tissue and the liver. All of these carbs, apart from the fiber, can be broken down into glucose. Technically, you do not need carbs to function, but carbohydrates have been proven and shown to improve performance. The nervous system can use other fuel sources like ketones that are produced from fat during these times of low carbohydrate intake. However, the majority of the time, carbohydrates are the better fuel source. How many carbs should you eat? It's hard to give an exact figure due to many factors like the type of sport you're doing, intensity, volume, and other things, especially when these things change mesocycle to mesocycle. However, a rough number would be a very minimum of 1 gram per pound of body weight, and probably wouldn't recommend this unless your sport isn't very demanding. And at max for a training day would be around 3 grams per pound of body weight on the higher end. If you're doing a competition or a really hard session, then you want to increase the carbs to the top of this range and maybe even go slightly over 4 grams and sometimes 5 grams in some cases where intensity and volume are very high for the day and you'll need the extra carbs for energy. For a person who weighs 200 pounds and is eating 3,000 calories a day, remember 800 is taken away due to protein, as this is 200 grams. This leaves us with 2,200 calories to divide up between carbs and fat. On the minimum range, this person would be eating 200 grams of carbs per day. However, if this person is training harder and needs more fuel, then more carbs will need to be eaten to provide energy. Fat. This contains 9 calories per gram. We need fats in our diet to live. It has long been shown that our bodies need fat to assist in vitamin absorption, to aid hormone regulation, better brain function. Fats are a pretty poor source of fuel for high intensity performance. Fats are mainly used for low intensity movements such as walking or slow jogging. It is true that you can slowly over time become better at using fat for high intensity training, but overall it still won't likely be as good as carbs, as your body is kind of designed to use carbs for energy. Similar to the essential amino acids in protein, which there are 9 of, essential fats are fats that are critical to your health but cannot be made up by the body, so must be consumed. The 2 types of essential fats in humans are omega-6 and omega-3. There are 4 main types of fat. The first one is monounsaturated fats. These are fatty acids with only one double bond in their chain. Polyunsaturated fats, which are fatty acids with multiple carbon double bonds in their fatty acid chain. Saturated fats are made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen molecules. They have the highest amount of hydrogen molecules possible, meaning they are saturated. The fourth type of fat is trans fat. Trans describes the configuration of an unsaturated fat. In an unsaturated fat, double bonds between carbon exist. As important as fats are for health, they aren't the best for performance. So the recommendations for the amount of fat you consume are similar for every sport, as you base it off of what's best for general health. The minimum amount of fat you can consume for health is around 0.3 grams per pound of body weight. So as long as you're hitting this, then you won't be insufficient. Overall, the main principle to follow between macronutrients ratios is once you get your protein done, you need to find what you can perform best with and what you can adhere to the best. So to go over the example of our 200 pound person, this would mean a minimum of 60 grams of fat per day. This is based on the 0.3 grams per pound of body weight will be required to maintain health. This would take up 540 calories in the diet. This is pretty much a non-negotiable minimum. So if you include the 800 grams of protein, that is set in stone as well, and a minimum carb intake of 1 gram per pound of body weight, meaning 800 calories from protein from 200 grams, 800 calories from carbs from 200 grams, 540 calories from fat, 60 grams. What this means is 2,140 calories you can't play around with and you leave no matter what. This leaves you with 860 calories that you can divide up between the macronutrients. Starting with protein, there is no real reason for you to add any more protein to the diet, as you won't see any additional benefits really past this point. Next, you can look at carbohydrates. If you're active and training hard, then it would be a good idea to lump the majority of the 860 calories to carbs with the remaining calories you have left. Overall, this will mean you have an extra 215 grams of carbs, which will overall benefit your performance as you have more energy. However, you can also add more fat and take away carbs if you feel like you want more fat for whatever reason. This overall means our calories split up would be between the 3,000 calories, you'd have 800 calories to protein, 200 grams. This will take up 26.5% of the diet. 1,660 calories for carbs. This is 415 grams. This will take up 55.5% of the diet. And finally, 540 calories from fat. This is 60 grams. This will take up only 18% of calories. Of course, this is only an example to show you how to do it, and in no way is a recommendation for you, as your activity levels will differ in periods of your training, so you may need more carbs in certain periods, but it's a rough idea of what you should be shooting for to get max performance out of whatever your endeavour is. Okay, so the third area of your diet is nutrient timing. This is when and how you spread your total food intake across daily meals. Overall, this will play around a 10% effect. While 10% might seem quite insignificant, if you consider for a second that even differences of 1% or smaller in performance can determine whether you win or lose a sport. Once again, adherence plays a major role in your overall splitting of your meals and nutrition overall, as if you are unable or unwilling to eat at certain times of the day and skip meals, then that will cause more of an effect than just designing the diet to match whatever you're able to do. For a diet of a person eating 200 grams worth of protein per day, if you eat less than 25 grams of protein, it might not be enough per meal, and more than 50 grams of protein will leave other meals without protein. Your meal frequency does matter to a certain degree. This is due to the distribution of protein throughout the day. If you only had one meal a day and you lump all your protein into that meal, then protein synthesis will not be maximized throughout the day. Of course, you can and will see good progress with eating only one meal a day, as you will put on muscle. However, it will likely not be as optimal as eating more frequently throughout the day with evenly protein spread meals. As you increase your meal frequency throughout the day, you'll begin to see some more benefits in protein synthesis each time. Each time you increase to one extra meal, you will see a slightly smaller return on investment, so it's a diminishing return. The sweet spot where you would get the most progress is around 4 to 5 meals per day. That being said, the difference between 4 to 5 meals a day only plays a small role, probably 1% overall, on the overall picture of putting on muscle. So if you find it uncomfortable or just inconvenient to do that, then don't worry whatsoever and just stick to eating 2 to 3 meals a day, and you'll still be getting 95% of everything you can get, considering that you have everything else in place. If you find that making the meals too annoying and inconvenient, you can do something where you don't actually eat a meal, but you just have a protein shake throughout the day, as you can still benefit from the protein synthesis, but you won't need to spend time cooking and eating if you're in more of a rush. The fourth area of the diet hierarchy is food composition. This is the sources of macronutrients you consume. This will make up around 5% of the total diet. What food composition refers to is a food's overall quality. It describes what other nutrients is obtained along with the desired macronutrients and how the food is digested and utilized by the body. Food composition is measured by things like digestibility and digestion time, as well as things like vitamin, mineral, fiber content. Food composition is a lower priority overall for body composition, as calories and macronutrients are the most important. But for health outcomes, food composition plays a much larger role, so paying attention to this can pay off better in the long term. Despite its small contribution to immediate fitness outcomes, it plays a major role in your overall health. We'll go over protein, carbs, and then fat, and break them down into what determines the quality of the macronutrients. Protein. This is split up into digestibility, protein quality, and nutrients. Digestibility. This means how much is absorbed and used by the body. The best digestible source is animal protein sources. So things like dairy, eggs, and isolated protein powders are the most complete digested protein sources. After these, meat and soy products are very good as well. Quality. Sources of protein can also be ranked based on the types and ratios of amino acids they provide. A food source containing all the essential amino acids is termed complete. Sometimes in the case of diets like vegan and vegetarian, 2 or more protein sources in combination in one meal are needed to get all the essential amino acids in the right amount. Multiple protein sources put together in one meal that contain all the essential amino acids are called complementary. Nutrients. Animal products are also rich in a number of vitamins and minerals, which plants tend to lack or have in much smaller quantities. Examples include some of the B vitamins, in particular B12 and iron. Carbs. This is split up into digestibility and nutrients. Digestion. The glycemic index, which refers to how much glucose is in the bloodstream, measures how quickly a source of carbohydrate is digested and absorbed into the bloodstream. Quickly digesting carbohydrate sources cause a rapid spike in blood sugar, resulting in a high glycemic index value. Slowly digested carbohydrate sources cause more gradual and sustained elevations in blood sugar, and therefore have lower glycemic index. Glycemic index values are lower in the presence of fat, protein or fiber, as these can slow down digestion. We'll go over how to put your nutrition in place for pre, intra and post workout. Pre-training or pre-competition, meals should ideally digest quickly enough to prevent gastrointestinal distress, and also the main role is to resupply muscle glycogen in time to support the activity. A good pre-training meal should provide a stable amount of blood glucose throughout the activity. The further from training the meal is eaten, the lower the glycemic index should be. A sugary sports drink can be a great pre-training meal if it is consumed within 30 minutes before the activity, as sports drinks have a very high glycemic index, as they have no fat or fiber and it's basically just sugar, and the liquid allows it to be digested quickly as opposed to actual food. If the meal is eaten much earlier, a slower digesting whole food meal like oats could be a better option, as it's lower on the glycemic index, so the energy supply is not as immediate. Intra-workout meals should provide immediate available energy during the workout itself. So the best recommendations you can have is a high glycemic index liquid, such as the sugary sports drink as explained earlier. Post-workout, in the hours immediately following training, the body is efficient in its ability to resynthesize glucose from ingested carbohydrates. So for this reason, it's beneficial to bias post-training carbs towards high glycemic index sources with minimal fat and fiber. The stimulus provided during the training means your body can utilize more carbs in a shorter time span, as it needs to refill the glycogen stores. As time increases after your workout, the sensitivity these muscles have to carbs start to decline. The food after training, after a little period, should have a lower glycemic index and more fiber and fats. Going over nutrition, carbohydrate sources vary greatly in their micronutrients content. For example, dextrose powder can provide all the needed carbs and is very high on the glycemic index, but it has no vitamins or minerals or fiber, so it's not very good for overall health. So you don't want to be just consuming that. You want to consume other carbs that provide nutrients. Getting carbs from a wide range of veggies, fruits and whole grains, along with less nutrient dense sources, allows you to get all the carbs you need. What I've started recently doing is trying to get 300 grams of fruit and 300 grams of vegetables minimum per day. And this allows you to hit all the micronutrient goals that you have. Fat. The quality of a fat is based off the class of fat. Monounsaturated. This is the good stuff. Monounsaturated fats are found in plant sources such as olive oil, canola oil, avocados, and a variety of nuts. This fat promotes better health than the others, and the majority of your fat content you consume in your diet should come primarily from monounsaturated sources. Polyunsaturated fats can be found in certain vegetable oils such as canola oil, sunflower oil, walnuts, and some animal products like fatty fish and animal meat. The most nutritional of these are omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. In most diets, omega-6 fats are consumed in sufficient quantities, but omega-3 fats are often undereaten, so supplementing with this could be a good idea. A diet that's relatively high in polyunsaturated fats can be good for overall health. Saturated fats. Saturated fats come mainly from animal sources such as dairy, eggs, meats, and coconut oils. Too much saturated fats can have a negative impact on health. Eating it in a sufficient amount won't do any damage. Transunsaturated fats. This class of fats is mainly produced during the chemical manipulation of naturally occurring fats. These manipulations are mainly done in order to gain advantage for food production and distribution. If you're eating a high level of trans fat, it can have negative health effects as they don't really have any upsides to consuming, and even if they're not really detrimental to health, they probably aren't great for you either. Many fat sources don't really contain nutrients, so micronutrient density is a less important factor when eating fat. Fat is very important for transporting the vitamins and minerals into the body. Micronutrients. Vitamins, minerals, fiber, phytochemicals. Vitamins. Vitamins are a class of micronutrients composed of the vitamins C, A, D, E, and K, and B complex vitamins, water soluble. Vitamin C and B vitamins are found in most fruits, vegetables, and some grains, with the exception of B12, which is found in seafood, meat, dairy, and eggs. Vitamins A, D, E, and K are found in vegetable oils and dairy products. Minerals. Dietary minerals are natural chemicals required by the body for function and overall health. Essential minerals include calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, and iron. Trace minerals are needed in very small amounts but potentially toxic in large amounts. These include zinc, copper, manganese, iodine. For performance in sport, the most important are a group called electrolytes. The main ones are calcium, potassium, magnesium, sodium, and chloride. These are responsible for neuron firing in the central nervous system and responsible for muscle contraction in the heart and skeletal muscle tissue. Electrolyte balance also plays a role in hydration. When you are training and sweating, you're sweating out the electrolytes in your body. That is why sweat tastes so salty. So if you're training hard, try and drink an electrolytes drink while training to replenish this. You can also have salt water. Daily electrolyte needs for rest or light training are usually achieved with just normal food consumption. Most people will meet the daily requirements of sodium and chloride easily, as this is just table salt. Magnesium is found in a mix of different food like milk and beans. Calcium is mainly found in dairy products. Potassium can be found in most fruits and vegetables, with white potatoes and bananas having the highest amounts. However, you may need to supplement with a hydration drink. Fiber. Fiber increases the feelings of satiety and overall fullness. This can be helpful for if you're in a calorie deficit. As well as this, fiber slows digestion down, which can help to maintain steady blood glucose levels by decreasing the glycemic index of the food, as we explained earlier. The fifth and final area of the diet hierarchy is supplements. We'll go over supplement use and hydration, how much and what type, dietary supplements you consume, and your level of hydration. Overall, this plays a small role, overall 5%, as you're probably already hydrated right now from just intuitively drinking. It's just about optimizing it, and supplements only make a very small impact. Dehydration, euhydration, and hyperhydration are the states of having little, normal, or too much fluid. Before training or competition, make sure you're taking regular fluids and monitoring your weight and the urine colour to stay well hydrated. It should be a light yellow colour, not completely white, just a slight tint of yellow. Usually correlates to the right hydration. While you're working out, your intra-workout hydration should be just you consuming fluid throughout. While you're working out, maybe have an electrolyte drink during your training just to replenish the electrolytes that are lost through sweat. After training, make sure you are also consuming water to replenish the electrolytes and sweat lost during training. You might want to add some salt or electrolyte drink after training. This will depend on what you did during the training session. Supplementation. To be honest, most supplements do not do anything at all. Here are some that actually do make a small difference in your training. The first is caffeine. This increases alertness and focus and can allow you to push slightly harder. The second is whey protein. This is naturally occurring protein that is found in milk. It's fast digesting and a very high quality protein. There are three main categories of whey sold. There's whey concentrate. This is the least pure form. Whey isolate, which is in the middle, and whey hydrolysate. This is the purest. All are still very effective. Casein protein is the other main protein, along with whey, that makes up milk protein. Another supplement that you can take is some sort of carbohydrates powder or formula. These are fast and easy to digest, so great to take before your workout or during your workout. Another supplement is creatine. Creatine has been proven thousands of times. Creatine occurs naturally in the human body. In muscle tissue, it acts as a buffer for ATP. This is adenosine triphosphate. ATP is a molecule that stores energy derived from the food you eat, fuels nearly every cellular reaction in the body, including muscle contraction, therefore is very important for working out. Even though ATP is very powerful for your energy, humans only have enough to fuel around 1 to 3 seconds worth of maximal contraction at any time. Maximal exertion beyond 1 to 3 seconds requires ATP levels to be restored. The creatine phosphate system is the immediate mechanism for this. While you're working out, the ATP turns into ADP, adenosine diphosphate, meaning it only has 2 molecules instead of 3, and it has been broken down for energy. However, the more creatine you have in the cell, the longer near maximal efforts can be made in training. If you curl 20 kg for 10 reps, more creatine might mean you can get 11 or 12 reps. Therefore, supplementing with creatine can improve training and performance. Therefore, is one of the best supplements you can take. Another supplement is a multivitamin. These can provide benefits if you don't eat enough fruit and vegetables throughout the day. However, I'll just recommend eating fruit and vegetables unless you find it really hard, which is what a multivitamin is for. Or even if you're in a calorie deficit and you don't have the calories available to meet all your nutrients targets, therefore a multivitamin can be a really good idea for this, as it's 0 calories. Another great supplement is omega-3. This can improve your health and cognitive function, and overall can just improve your well-being. That is all the main supplements that can improve your performance and overall well-being that actually work, and that covers everything for the video. Hopefully this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.